Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Good Servant Show. Good servant of who? The Most High, of course. Let's give it up for the Lord Jesus Christ in Revelation, Alpha and Omega, right? Let's give it up for the true hero and the true celebrity of the world here. Jesus doesn't get enough credit, enough worship, enough recognition, saving all of humanity, for saving the world. And I, for one, am grateful for that, because I couldn't make it on my own. There's no way. And neither could you guys. But ahead of us, we have everlasting contentment to look forward to. That makes me feel very grateful. I wish more people knew about what we need to know about. And you go to spread it to your friends, you know? And you think that they're going to be excited to hear it. And all you get is people that are resistant to what we have to say. Almost as if what we're saying is bad or something. But we know it's good. And we know there's only a few of us. And so, hey, maybe this is just the way it's supposed to be. Maybe we're just supposed to celebrate what we know. And if people like what we're doing, they can come be a part of it. I don't know. I've been a missionary only for a little over a year now. And it's very weird to go out and try to meet new folks and get people to understand. And you get resistance out there. Like I'm trying to hand somebody a bag of gold, man, and they're like, man, what is this, man? This is heavy. I don't want to carry it. You know? It's crazy, guys. I think that was actually off the cuff. I think actually that was a good way to say it. We're trying to hand people a bag of gold, and they complain about how heavy it is, you know? Almost as if we are doing something crazy. All right, Deb, you said Skype is ready, so that means that I can add you to the Skype. That's pretty cool. I'm glad to hear that. I was waiting for one more email this morning, but I didn't get it. I did not get it. I was gonna even be late 5 minutes. I was even gonna add 5 minutes to the start of the show. But Deb, I think that when you send a request, right, it's possible that it's possible you sent it to another Stephen Benedetto or an old account of mine or something. It's possible. And so what I will do is I will just add you. I'll do the work. You did that part, and I'm grateful. And if you don't know how to send me your link, that's fine. I'll look it up and we'll work it out. All right, let me say hi to everybody. And then I think I'm going to drop the link for Shannon to join me if she wants to. It's up to her. But I was going to have Teresa, or offer Teresa to come on to make up for, she missed yesterday, and I didn't know she still wanted to come on. So, but I think Shannon said she wanted to come on. I'm not sure, but I'm going to drop the link in a minute. All right. Good morning, Luke, Deb, Clutch is here, Shannon's here. All right. Look at everybody here, man. Look at all these mugs, man. There's Hannah, Clutch. If I didn't say Clutch, I forget. AJM, what's up, my brother? Wow. It's a good little group. Did I miss anybody? Type of one if I missed you. Type of one if I missed you by saying hi. Sometimes I do miss them. I don't know. All right, let me drop the link here and see what happens. You know what I mean? She types a 3. All right, I gotta drop the link. I forget how to do it now. Oh, everything is just so crazy. I actually, okay, I don't eat salt ever, right? Like 0 salt. And somebody left some, I don't know, I guess they're tortilla chips or something like that from when I had that um, burrito, that vegetarian burrito the other day. And I don't eat anything with salt on it, you know? That was probably as salty as I will ever eat, is that burrito. But and that's even rare. And so I ate one of these chips, man. Well, a few of these chips. And I don't know, man. I don't like the way salt makes me feel at all. So I don't know if you guys ever feel sick from salt, but I can tell you this from a person that eats almost 0 salt. And then, that burrito is just like way out of character for me. So even that was like way more than I ever would eat, but whatever's in that. But yeah, I don't know. Adding salt to my diet, because I don't add very much to my diet or whatever, made me feel a certain kind of way, I guess. Unless those chips are like, I don't know, maybe made in some kind of grease. I don't know. That could be it too, because I don't eat a lot of grease. You had the saltiest burrito last night? Okay. That's crazy. All right, let me add you to. Don't be talking. What are you doing? All right, all right, all right. Let me add you to the thing. Hold on. Good morning, Shannon. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good morning, you guys. Happy
I'm just,
Saturday.
I'm just gonna say this. Whatever you do is on you. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't know. How do you do a disclaimer, right? Or you're like, I'm only responsible for my half of the show.
Oh,
You know
do you
what I
mean
mean?
as far as what I say?
Right,
Or
right, right. Like all things. Like if you like, I don't know, you stick your
my
tongue out or
pictures?
whatever. That's on you, right?
Okay.
Like, okay, that's all I mean.
I will adult and I will be responsible for myself.
Isn't this crazy? This world.
Well, that it is crazy. I talk
Well,
about that with my coworker a lot, is sometimes people just seem like they just can't adult. It's hard to
yeah,
just do something yourself now, and you have to hold people's hand through everything. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a blessing, but other times it's like you question whether or not this is as good for them as it is for you.
yeah. It seems like for some people to act like an adult is like is like a lot of restraint or something. Like they're really
Yeah,
holding back. And it's like, well, I understand wanting to just do what you want, right? Just float around out there, and there is some freedom to that. And I think that we should all be ourselves, right? Authentic. But there is a certain amount of like, okay, well, we got to be able to control our emotions and our impulses, right? To do, crazy stuff because there's a time and a place to make yourself vulnerable like that, right?
right. And it's so many different spectrums when people are involved. Like in my job, it's there's a certain aspect of if somebody passes away, right? And if they're not married in the state of Nevada, if they have multiple children, all the children have to either delegate the authority to make decisions about cremation or burial to one sibling, or they all have to agree. And then
Oh
the drama
wow.
ensues. There's serious in drama.
Wow,
Or if it's brothers and sisters, you know what I mean?
that's complicated, it
It
seems like.
is. It
Because in
is.
California, it's only the oldest.
Nope.
The, ol-
Yeah, I
the
know that.
yeah,
And or one that had power of attorney. But
right.
interesting thing is, in the state of Nevada, or I don't know if this is the case for every state. I would think it would, because it makes sense. But if you have power of attorney, Stephen, and say Deb is your power of attorney, if something happens to you, it's only good for when you're alive. And so when something happens to you, she's no longer power of attorney, because, well, that was only during your life.
Oh,
Does
I
that
had
make
no
sense?
idea.
So people come in with a power of attorney and is like, yeah, I was his power of attorney. I took care of his checking and everything. Well, that's great, but he's dead now, and so is that power of attorney. So there has to be like a death power of attorney, a will, or an attorney, a representative. It gets so complicated, and to see people struggle, oh my God,
And
it gets so
fight.
petty. This is the one we get all the time. There will be a sister and a brother, right? And we'll be talking to the sister, and she's like, well, I'm the one that took care of my mom her whole life. He didn't do anything. It's like, okay, but that doesn't make him any less of a son to her than you are a daughter.
That's
And
right.
it becomes so messy. It just, and then having her to, just give up, like, can you just tell us your brother's name and his phone number, and we'll call him and we'll see if he'll sign something that says he doesn't want to be involved, and all that. And most of the time it's really funny, because then we'll talk to the brother, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. My sister did everything for my mom. If she wants to do this, it's cool.
Right, right. But for some reason, they think that they're not going to get that recognition or something, you know?
Or just because there's drama between a brother and a sister, that when a
Yeah.
funeral home gets involved, it's like, I'm not involved in your drama. I'm just doing my job. And usually they understand, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. What do you want my email? Send it over to me. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, this guy's great. But then
Yeah.
you talk to the sister again, and she's like, he's a monster. Really? Is he?
Wow.
Because right now you're the only monster I'm talking to right now, from how negative you're being, and it's
Right.
so ironic, so
Yeah.
ironic.
You're like, well, I talked to your brother, and he is just an absolute peach.
That's funny, because that's
Yeah.
what I had that just last week. The
Yeah.
lady said that she had three brothers, and they're horrible. They're so verbally abusive and da da da. And when I talked to all three of them, they were like, if she would just leave us alone on Facebook, that's all we want. We just want to be left alone. And it was so nice. I told them, I said, I'm just an impartial party. You would make my job a whole lot easier if you would just sign this one form, and I will never bother you again. They're like, all right, well, my email is TIGER da 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 da. And I'm like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah.
So I got to
Yeah.
call her later on, a few days later, and I said, yes, I spoke to the three brothers. They were so helpful. I really appreciated their help. And she's like, oh, they didn't say anything about me. It's like awkward.
Yeah, it's like what? I mean, I'm not involved in your stuff, please, you know. Don't
Exactly.
drag me into your well, see, like when my dad died, right? My brother lived really close to my dad, like 5 minutes away or whatever, you know.
Oh
And so
yeah.
he did most of the stuff, right? But when my dad died, it was the oldest kid was the next of kin or whatever.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it was easy. I mean, I went up there. I handled like most of the decisions right away, and then because we were together, me and my brother, and then I
Yeah.
just whenever I had a chance to sign something, I just signed something for him to do everything else, you know.
Yeah. And
And there was
but then you
no
guys you
big
guys
deal.
also probably got along really well too.
Oh yeah,
Not like, don't listen to him, he's crazy, or you
yeah.
know,
I
I
couldn't
get it all.
imagine.
I
I
get it
couldn't
all.
like I see that a lot, right? Like like between siblings, like fighting over like little pieces of the estate or like certain
Yep.
property or some kind of recognition or whatever. And with me and my brother, it's never like that. I mean, if my dad left like everything to my brother, okay, so be it. It's his business, right? It's not like
Yep.
it's none of my business, right? Like what, like who would I be to feel cheated, you know? And so it's like I never really thought about it that way. I always just I couldn't imagine looking at. I mean, sometimes I'm pissed off at my brother because I look at him kind of like almost like a third kid, right? Because he's so much younger than me. But
Yeah.
like in reality, he's doing probably better than I am, in life.
That's right.
So I'm
And
proud of him.
and that has nothing to do with the last disposition of your
Right.
family after death, and
That's
just
right.
just put them to rest. That's the whole point of this job, is just to put somebody to rest. And then here we have, like, family on the phone with us telling us about, well, he did this to my mom and they did that to my sister. It's like, it doesn't matter now. It has no bearing on
Right.
what I'm here for to do. And people just they
So
love
what's
their
the
drama.
worst what's the worst scenario that like you ever ran into where it was like very, very
Oh,
weird?
it's still going on. The worst scenario I've had is still going on. Um, there was a son that is on drugs, and he was a primary next of kin. He's the only child of this woman that died, and the woman that died had brothers and sisters. She had a sister and two brothers, and they kept coming in. They're obviously more mature, established. They're in their 60s, and they come in and they're like, "Look, our sister had a son, and he's on heroin." And I said, "Okay, I get that, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a son." And they said, "Well, we don't even want him to know." And I was
Oh,
like,
well, too bad.
you don't want this man to know that his mother has passed away? I mean, he's still got feelings.
Yeah.
And this happened. Now, bear in mind, brother, this happened like 8 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And so I talked to them and I said, I cannot move forward until I talk to the son. And if he signs something over for you guys, great. And they didn't like it. They gave me a hard time, but eventually we got a hold of the son, and he was nice. I mean, there's nothing that says, like, anybody that's addicted, any addicts, they're not unkind.
Right.
That's just something they're dealing with on a different
Yeah.
level. And he loved his mother. He was astounded that she died, and he cried on the phone. Now, the hardest thing for me is listening to a man cry on the phone. Oh,
Yeah.
it's heart wrenching. And I just had to sit there and say nothing for about 10 minutes and just let him cry. And I kept saying, we'll just say his name was Daniel. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
his real name, but I just said, "Daniel, I'm sorry." And I said, "No, don't say sorry. Take your time, Daniel. Take your time." He kept saying he was sorry. And then finally he said he didn't mind if his uncle handled the cremation. He said he didn't have the money to do it. And I said, "I completely understand. Your uncle is kind enough to pay for it, but they want the ashes, and they want all the ashes." And he said, "Well, I would like some of my mom's ashes." And I said, "Well, it's up to you. You're the delegating authority. What You tell me what you would like to do. They want to place her ashes at a cemetery out in California." And he's like, "Okay, but I want half of it, and I want to, can I get a nice urn?" And I said, "You get whatever you want."
Yeah.
And so I went back to the brothers and sisters, and they're like, "No, he doesn't get any of the
What?
ashes. No,
Wow. Wow.
he's gonna throw it in the trash. He's gonna this." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Look, he's allowing you to at least have half." And I think, in our minds as a funeral home, when somebody's cremated, it's just ashes that's left. Their soul
yeah.
is gone,
It's
right?
not them. Yeah.
But for
It's
some
just a way,
reason,
it's just a way to get closure. Yes, it's
yeah,
probably part of your loved one's body, right? But that's
right,
not them in the urn. They are gone,
yes.
and let
And
them rest.
And that's exactly it. Well, she is still sitting at that funeral home 8 months later
Oh,
because the brothers and the sisters
heartbreaking.
decided that they were going to take the son to court and
Oh my
force
God.
him to sign over all the ashes to them. And I don't work there anymore. And in fact, they're the funeral
Can
home
you
that's like a couple
believe?
doors down. But it's
Can you
sad.
believe? Can you believe the judge that has to deal with that? You know,
Oh,
with all the
yeah.
stuff that there is going on in the world, right? To argue over this, it's
Yeah. I
such
don't
a
mean to laugh, but I picture this judge sitting there up on his chair, just rubbing his head while all this is going on and they're talking like he needs a vacation.
just unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Deb said that my job must be very gratifying, though. Yes, yes. There's the flip side, brother. That's true. The good point, Deb, because I will tell you the days that I have a wife of 40 or 50 years come to pick up her husband's ashes and the hugs and the thank yous. I even got a chance to witness to one young wife. She was about 40 something, right? And her husband died. She came and picked up the ashes last week Friday, and it was funny because I told her, I said, well, we close at 4:30, so if you can get here by 4, yeah, I could sign them out to you. Well, she stayed the whole extra 30 minutes and cried and talked and cried and talked and cried and talked and she just said, I hope I see him again. And I get to
Oh
say things to
wow.
people like that, like, you are going to see him again. You are, and I said, the kingdom of heaven is waiting. And she just kind of nodded. It's like she was on the border of being a believer. And she was very sweet. And it was funny because thank goodness Bobby showed up to pick me up because I think she would have stayed a whole nother hour if he hadn't shown up to get
Right.
me. And I'm like, oh, that's my husband, I've got to get going. And she perked up and she was happy after that. But yes, meeting the people and seeing their true colors, afterwards, the ones that where death either brings out the worst of people or the best of people, it's
Yeah.
it's worth seeing the ones that bring out the best. It is so nice.
Like in some people, it brings out like the closeness of a family.
Yep.
Just how
Yep.
good they are to each other.
That's or the ones that repent. There's a repent story.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, go ahead, please.
a, a man left his wife 20 years ago for another woman, but they never divorced. And that's a pickle because, like I said, legally in the state of Nevada, if you're not legally married, you're not the spouse. But if you are legally married, you are the spouse, and they have say. Well, he was in California with his new girlfriend, or his girlfriend of however many years, and her son took care of everything, and he was outraged because he said that man left her 20 years ago. He left her with nothing. He didn't pay for anything. He was so angry. And I told him, I said, I'm so sorry, but I have to talk to her husband. And
Yeah.
he finally gave me the phone number. I play the same cat and mouse game with families all the time. I don't know the number. You don't know the phone number? How do you know where he is? And it just like they
Yeah.
try not to give me the phone number. So I call and I talk to this man. And he sounded so vulnerable on the line. And I told him, I said, I'm the funeral home and I'm trying to put her to rest. But you two are still legally married and your son wants to take care of cremation, but I need you to either sign something over or find out if you want to handle the process. And he didn't say anything, and I thought, oh man, I just ticked him off, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I just hear this crying in the background, and he cried and he just kept saying, I am so sorry, I am so sorry, like he was just all this regret.
Yeah.
And he said she was a good woman. It just didn't, and he just like just belched out everything that he regretted about leaving her. And the irony was, I think his his new woman was probably in the background because I heard somebody say, "Take a deep breath, honey. Take a deep breath," and he's
Wow.
crying.
Well, that's a
But
good
he
woman too to hear that and still be that supportive, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and he said, "I just want to do the right thing. I just want to whatever you need. What do you need?" And I said, "Well, your son wants to take care of it. Do you want to sign something and let him?" And he said, "I'll sign anything he wants, just, and all the hatred and all the anger, when I called the son and told him exactly what this man said, his son was beside himself.
You
He was
couldn't
just like,
believe it.
yeah, he was like, "Really?" Cuz he treated, he started talking about how badly this guy put up a wall around every attempt they made to, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And in the end, the son actually went over to, it was San Francisco where this husband was living,
Yeah.
and they sat down at Starbucks one day and went over the paperwork together, and the husband signed everything, including a deed to the house because it was in his name.
Wow.
But
To the kid.
he said, "You know what? You took care of her. You can have the house." It was like you said. It was kind of like the monetary part of it just didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And I was glad to hear the story. Like when the son came back from San Francisco, he called me on the road and he's like, "You're not going to believe it. He signed everything over to me." And I was like, "Well, that's
Wow.
fantastic."
Well,
And
sometimes, right? Like now, I've seen people, right, in many stages of their relationship, especially divorce, like where they've been divorced for a long period of time, right, or
yeah.
separated a long period of time. Sometimes when the hurt is gone, all
Yep.
the forgiveness pours in, right? Like, like if like in like if the wife like betrayed the guy or something like that, and she passed away, and there was a couple of kids. Sometimes just that hurt disappearing helps that relationship with those kids,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
it's kind of a awkward way to look at it, but I've seen that a few times, like where there was like kind of a grudge against the wife, and that's why he didn't have a relationship with his kids. But then after the wife or husband died, right then the relationship started again,
Yes.
and
And
it's
that's
probably what
what I
they
mean
need.
by, I always say death brings out the worst in people or the best.
Yeah,
It's really weird, the dynamics of each and every. And Deb pointed something out here. She said there are things worse than death unless you are not saved.
that's
And
right.
I
That's
always
right.
think of that when I'm talking to a family and I'm going over like something like the emblems they could have engraved on the headstone or something, right? And if it's a cross, I remember one family was like, "Oh no, don't put a cross on there. He didn't believe in God." And the first thing
Oh,
that popped in my mind was that man is in the lake of fire right now. But
yeah.
I can't say that sort of thing to a family that's grieving, of course. But it it
It's
always
reality, right?
strikes me in the back of my mind, like, where are they now? You know? And
Yeah.
I love the wives that are super like faithful.
Yeah.
And the best one was just, I think, a week or two ago. That woman was so sparky. I loved her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, "Well, he lived to 85. I think he had enough time on this earth," and just happy as could be. And I thought, wow. And I told her, I said, "You are really handling this well." And at first I thought maybe that's the wrong thing to say because maybe she hated the guy and now she's happy that he's dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
You
I
never
thought, did
know,
I go
right?
too far? But then she said, he is in heaven and I rejoice. She told me, she's like, "I rejoice." She goes, "I
Yeah.
can't wait to be there with him." And I was just like, wow, this woman's got the right
Well,
attitude.
I'll tell you what. I had a friend that recently died. She was only like 70. I mean, she was young
Yeah.
for today's standards, right? But when she was dying, right, like me and her, um, because flat Earth was kind of like destroying all my relationships, right? And because I kept sending all this flat Earth stuff, excited to send it to all my relatives, and at the almost the very very beginning, she goes, "Hey, just send all that stuff to me. I want to see it,"
Right.
and so we texted every day, for I don't know 3 or 4 years, right?
Oh.
And when she was dying, right? I mean, I had to tell her, right? I said, I feel bad even saying this, right? But I'm almost jealous. I'm almost
Yeah.
jealous that you get to go and I have to
And
stay
we're
here,
stuck here.
Yeah, and I want to go with you, And she was sad to go, but happy, Like she knew
Right.
where she was going, but there is a reluctance, even if you are happy to go. Like there is something in you that is reluctant in some way. I don't know.
Ready to
It,
go home.
yeah, yeah. She was
And
ready to
base
go home for
things
sure.
of the world and things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not to bring not to naught. Michael's here. Hi,
Yeah,
Michael.
yeah. I texted with Michael just before the show, and sometimes when he has like a revelation when he's reading the Bible, he'll text me it, and I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's right, you got it, man, and
yeah,
that's a smart, very spiritual man right there,
I
and
know. I love it.
he's going against a lot of uh, uh I don't want to say adversaries, but like a rough road, right?
Yeah,
And so we're all gonna hit that point eventually where
yeah,
it's
you
weird,
have
like
to.
how it, like that's the thing that baffles me about this more than anything, is it how is it that being being the good guy or doing the right thing or following the right way, it ends up being hated. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just so weird, isn't it?
We are laughing. Bobby and I are laughing at you because we say the same thing every day. Almost every day. It's like we just want to do the right thing. We just want to do
Yeah,
the right thing. How come people have such an issue with that?
yeah,
And you got people that will, like, during a normal work day, they come around and they're only walking by or something brief, and they've got all of a sudden something rude to say out of nowhere. Why?
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
What is that about?
It's almost
Yeah,
automatic to them, right? It's like
right.
that's their
Do they think
automatic
they're
way to
funny?
be.
I you know
I'm like automatically giving people the benefit of the doubt. Automatically. Like
Really?
yeah, and I'm always like trying to like make excuses for the other person, right? Like I'm so self-deprecating sometimes, right? Like, oh, they could be right. Maybe they're right, And I'll even like consider what they're saying, even though it's like maybe not even true what they said, about me or whatever. Well, maybe
Yeah.
that is true, and I just can't see it. Maybe I don't see it in myself, and they're just helping me out. And so I don't understand why everyone's not like their first reaction to be that way, because that's how I am. And
Yeah.
it's been very frustrating, right? And you probably have felt this too, right? I mean, all of us in here
Oh
and in
yeah.
the chat for sure, like where you're like, man, I thought everybody in the world was like me inside, that they
No.
automatically want to be nice.
No, our dream come true is just to stay at home and lock the doors and not have to go into any public, because some people make it so hard. It's just like this world is so frustrating when you go out, and I try to go out and look up at people's faces and smile, and I try to engage in a positive way and make them laugh, and but by saying something kind, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, if I can, like, oh my God, that's a wonderful sweater. Where can I buy that? Or can I just buy yours? And just see
right.
if they laugh. But
Yeah,
sometimes the negative approach that people have, you know, it's no shocker. My husband doesn't like talking to people that often,
I
and
don't
we just
blame
want to be
him.
left alone. We just want to be left alone. Just like, okay, some
Well,
days.
like I get that, right? Like I'm a naturally just kind of like outgoing person, right? I mean,
Yep.
I start off shy, like in groups, right? But like, if I break through that right away, then I'm really outgoing. You know, I got to break
Yeah.
through a certain, like a threshold, right? It's easy to do, but you know, before that, I'm shy, right? But then I break through it, right? And I'm always like saying hi to people and trying to be nice, and I'm almost afraid now that I'm going to incite violence, right? If I say hello, that
Yeah.
someone's gonna try to beat me up or something out there in the street, you know. And it's like, well, man, maybe I just better just not say anything at all, man. People are crazy.
They
People are
are.
crazy, man.
They are.
And I've had people like where like they find out that I'm super nice, right? And it's almost like their eyes light up in an evil way because they think they're gonna
Like
get
it's an
something out of me.
opportunity.
Right. Rubbing their
Yeah.
hands together, doing all the signs that
Yep.
like you're not hiding what you're gonna do. Like you are like salivating right now.
They
Like
see an opportunity to like, oh, here's a perfect victim right here, and
right.
it's like, why? Yeah, that's
You
it's
know how
funny.
like
We're both nodding like while you're talking about
you
it
know
because
how
we
like
know exactly
you
what
know
you're saying.
hey, you know how like Elmer Fudd looks at Bugs Bunny and he pictures him like a roast bunny, you know? He's a roast bunny in in like a plate, right? That's how
You're
these people look at me, you know, like I'm some kind
your
of roasted
potential
chicken.
kill.
Yeah, like oh, I'm gonna devour this person, you know. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
everything out of them, you know.
They mistake it for weakness. They mistake kindness for weakness,
They
and
do.
they think, and it just like, but that's the hardest thing for me is like, don't poke the bear, because I mean I could easily lose my temper, and it's work for me right now to hold my tongue. Oh, Vader Jones and I joke about that all the time. All the time. Oh, and Faith, there's Faith. Faith
Yeah,
knows. I
I
mean,
like
I
that
would
picture. I like that picture of Faith right there. That's really nice. That's
I
classy.
know. Faith's
Yeah,
always got her nice. She always does her hair and her makeup up nice and dresses up for her short
yeah.
sign language videos.
I think
But
this is my favorite picture though, right here.
it's, yes, my
Yeah,
lovely Faith. But the three of us girls get together, and we sometimes I feel like the three of us have to vent to each other, because biting our tongue, if we just bite the tongue right off if we're not careful. Some things we're trying to like reflect and practice self-control when somebody's going nuts and acting a fool, but you want to say something like a smartass kind of comment to
yeah.
set them straight, but you're like, no, that's just throwing a log on the fire. You know what I
It
mean?
is. They want that. It's like they want
That's
that
right.
so that they can react to you. You know, they're waiting for you to do something. And
Yep.
that's why like a lot of people they'll say, Steven, you're so tolerant to people that come in here and talk crap, you know, and you're so calm when it happens, right? And I'm like, yeah, because they want that reaction from you, right? They come in here expect
Yes.
they know that if they act a fool, they're gonna get dealt with, right?
Yeah.
And so they want that reaction. And when you don't give it to them, it makes them even more like upset. You know what I mean?
That's
Because they
right.
want it. And so it's like, why throw a log on the fire and then be their victim when you can just have them leave a little frustrated and thinking about what they did, you know? Think about what
Well,
you're doing, you know?
and that's a lot of times why, like, it's strange sometimes. I hear you guys talking, I see you guys chatting about something, and you're talking to someone, and I'm like, who's Ron? You're like talking to somebody,
Mhm.
Deb's talking to somebody, and I'm like, I don't see any comments from sometime these names, and I'm
Yeah,
wondering if like they were in here before and they said something crazy, and I just
right.
kind of like, okay, that I'm just gonna, I thought
Well,
it was a troll. I
Well,
don't know.
I got one guy, I won't say his name, but I got one guy that blocks everybody that's in here, right? Like
Yeah,
prior to coming in here, and then comes in here and, you know,
just says whatever he
says what
wants.
they say. Yeah, maybe there'll be two or three unblocked people in here, but like sometimes when people don't like a whole channel, right, they'll block everyone that goes there, you know?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know who you're talking about. I've seen it, and
you know,
it's childish, but those are the kind of things where you just like, hey, knock that off. Just quit it.
right,
Just stop being an idiot, and you
right.
get kind of that military feel again, like Just expect a drill
Well,
instructor to come out from nowhere and be like, "Stop being an idiot."
well, I had like a friendship on here, right, where I stopped doing my channel and I was like helping this guy out, right, thinking that everything was on the up and up, you know.
Yeah.
And we liked all the same people, and we went to all the same channels, right? So it wasn't really that big a deal. But then when I was going to channels that like he didn't like or whatever, he's like, oh yeah, don't go there and support those people. I'm like, what? You're trying to tell me where I could go and where I can't? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you trying to like control where I hang out? Like,
It's not a
dude,
gang. It's
like,
not a
yeah, it's
clique.
like, dude, we're not like, we're not together, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go where I want to go, and and then, obviously, those relationships get like controlling, to a point. And if you're at one of those channels that does that, that's a cult, basically. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
not allowed to go where you want and leave comments because you're afraid to leave a comment because someone will see, that's not a way for a grown person to live, you know?
Right.
If you're
Right.
grown, you should be able to go wherever you want and leave a comment wherever you want, you know?
And who are we to tell someone else? To, you got to let them form their own opinions,
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Because we sit
Absolutely.
here and talk crap about somebody, we just end up becoming a gossip group, just like anybody
Well,
else that we don't want to
there
be.
there are people that, like, if I see somebody that's kind of vulnerable, right? That's like, I think, you know, a vulnerable person that's like going somewhere that's kind of like not a good spot for them, I'll let them know. But if they want to go there, it's on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Let
depending
them.
on. I mean, if I care a lot, then I'll like, okay, I'm begging you not to go there.
Yeah.
but
It's like,
but
well, like
you know,
when you had Stephanie on the other day and she talked about leading by example. She didn't say it in that many words, but you
Stephanie's
do,
great. Yeah.
yeah, you do what you know is right and you follow Christ the way you want. Have that loving relationship with him. Other people will see that and they're
You
like,
know what I
well,
like? You know what I like about. You're right about that, but you know what I like about Stephanie is that she's good at like I'll say something and she can pull you back on track.
yeah.
Like if you're doing, she's like, no, that's not how you're supposed to be. You gotta be this way. Like very unapologetically. Like just it's almost refreshing, right? You're
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I should be doing the right thing. You're right.
And and so that's the kind of people God sends into our lives because we
Yeah,
need them.
yeah.
I never take any. It's like the link I sent you guys where I'm just puking out all this like, oh my god, I couldn't believe this happened today.
Right.
And then I've got lovely Sheila. She comes in with her knowledge and that's
Yeah.
what I need because sometimes you get so wrapped up, you create yourself a tunnel vision. You don't see the big picture.
I'll tell you
And
what. I'll
you
tell you
you
what.
pointed out stuff, she pointed out stuff that I didn't see.
I'll tell
I
you what.
needed it.
She's got a high opinion of you, and it's tough to get on that list with Sheila. That's tough.
Because I love
Yeah,
her.
that's a special spot. Yeah, yeah,
She's in a whole different world than we are over there in the UK and
yeah,
AJM, and to see things from a different perspective. Why
yeah,
would we reject that? Because it's knowledge, it's education that we could use, we need. Like I said, God puts people like that into each other's lives. We're in each other's lives on purpose.
yeah.
You
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
needed me as much as I needed you, as much
that's
as I
right.
needed Faith and Deb and Michael and Luke and AJM, and
That's
it's
right.
for a reason. And
Yep.
so I'm thankful for it because after you guys kind of talked me through and like, okay, yeah, that was weird, and and I did talk to my friend and I just let him know like, I didn't really like that, and he was like, yeah, I could tell. He's like, I
Right.
could tell. I saw the look on your face, and that's my problem is my face doesn't hide what I'm thinking, and
Right.
so he knows I didn't like that scented thing, and I was like, but we came to a happy
I
medium.
think I think what happens is like people don't think that that's real, right? That the
Right.
spiritual part of it is not real, and it's like, okay, you're making that up to make a deal out of it. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not. This is a real
Yeah.
thing. It's people don't stand around a burning star for no reason, just because
Yeah.
it's fun. Like, no, it's for there's a reason why they're doing it. Like they get something out of it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's hard to convince people of that sometimes, But if it is a person that doesn't think that way, it should be easy to tell them, hey, if you're my friend, right? You won't do that to me, and
Yeah, and
they'll be
but at the same
understanding.
time, I'm not going to sit there point my finger at him and condemn him
Right,
because
right,
you're practicing witchcraft. It's
right.
just like, no, I'm not going to accuse him of anything. In his
Yeah.
mind, it's just a nice way to make the office smell better. And I'm like,
Right, right. And
no,
everybody,
that's
it's like
okay.
it's so crazy, just like how in the majority he is with that. Like everybody
Yeah.
that there's Christians that buy that stuff, right?
Oh, I know.
They're like, oh yeah,
But did
this
you
will be
see?
good. This dragonberry fruit will be great for my living room, and then they're
Yeah.
cursing their kids with it, and you're like, oh my God, what's the world going to? But
But
you're
did you
right.
see
I mean,
pictures of the other stuff they sell in there? There's
it's
like
pretty spooky.
daggers and stuff, and I'm like, what is that?
That would have been like the kind of shop, like as a teenager, that I would have went into. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, my parents would never let me in here. I'm going in there, and
Oh yeah,
the first spot I wanted to go,
yeah.
and
Like, oh, cool.
well, I remember I was a kid, right, and I used to listen to this band called Guns N' Roses. I know you've heard of it, right?
Who?
And
Yeah,
right,
totally.
right, right, and they were wearing these shirts that had Charles Manson on it,
Oh
And so
yeah,
I bought one of these shirts, and I just thought it was a cool shirt that they were wearing. I didn't know who that was or what he did or anything. I didn't know, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then my mom had to explain to me, no, see this, like now I think it's all fake, right? But at the time, right? She's like, oh yeah, this is a murderer that went and killed people, or like had people killed, I'm like,
You're like,
oh,
what?
that's a horrible thing, like. Like that's horrible,
Yeah,
And
but back in the day though, that sort of stuff when you're that young, you're just like, that's what I want to be. Like
the
I know what you mean.
opposite,
I
right?
used to listen
Yeah.
to White Snake and I'm like, yeah, in the still of the night when the moon comes running around your door and you're just
Yeah,
like that
didn't
angry.
like Ozzy Osbourne have a song about like Mr. Crowley? I mean, you
Did
couldn't
he?
be more satanic than just out in the open with it like that.
Really? Babe, did he? Did Ozzy Oh my god, yes he did.
Yeah.
My husband knows all about that stuff
Yeah,
and
and it's like, how did we not notice this? It
yeah.
was going on. Like, I know that I knew that rock and roll was kind of like devil music or whatever. I was like, okay, devil on the edge or whatever, right? But I
Right,
never
right.
thought that it was really devil music, for real, for
Right.
real.
Well, I read something super. I see. There I go again, saying super. It was super interesting.
I do it too. It's a bad
Oh
habit I
God,
have.
I
It's
hate getting
super
in a
cute.
habit.
That's so super cute.
I know it's super, but the reason there's a whole story for that, and I'll tell you that another time. But I was reading something in one of them books. What is that book called? The Purpose Driven Life type book,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
it said something interesting. It says there's no such thing as Christian music, only Christian lyrics. And so it says, so make sure you're listening to the words when you are listening to a song and what they mean.
That's true in a
The
way.
tune and
Yeah,
the tune and the
yeah,
melody, I remember you guys talking about how there are certain tunes and melodies that incite kind of a negative energy or something to that matter.
yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
we're supposed to like sing, right, and have like hymns, right, where
Yes.
you sing and not have like really like, because a lot of like drum beats and different like chords, like chord progressions could trigger your brain to do certain things, right? Hymns are we're all supposed to sing with our voices, right, our natural voices, right? That's what God
Yes.
wants to hear, our voices rejoice, even if it's not good. He loves it.
Right.
Music is created for worship, specifically for worship. So
Well,
if
we
you're
were
saying,
created for worship. We were created for worship of
right,
God, and He rejoices in us when we
yeah,
worship Him, and that's what we, as Christians. I think I don't know about everybody else, but my greatest joy is to see the people I love, including God and Jesus, to see them happy. You know,
yeah,
it is kind of like my calling in life. Like, okay, this is the purpose that I have as a mother, as a wife. and as a Christian,
Yeah.
is to bring this joy to them. And in a way, it's kind of like honoring my husband, loving my son, and worshiping my God. And
Yeah.
that's kind of that's the I think when people sit there and wander through life and they don't know what the hell they're here for, sometimes thinking about that really helps. Is like, well, have you thought about, are you just trying to please people in this world too much, or are you trying to please God?
That's it. That's
And
what it comes down to. But
yep,
here's the thing, right? Sometimes when you are, say, you're loving people and they're like giving you a kind of a bad reaction back, you're just trying to love them like Jesus would, over, forgiving, 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 and they keep kind of like, I don't know, like you're not really meshing. Other people will see you trying to make God happy and join with you. Like
yep,
you'll meet and you'll meet and mingle with people that you never thought before that would like you, and they do. And it's like these
yep,
long lasting bonds, right? Where they will, like I would die for you guys. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I only have a few friends like that would, die for me, right? And it's like I'm starting to meet all of them now at the end of my life, right? All because of God, right? And so
yeah.
it's
Well,
amazing, isn't it?
blessed is that man that places his life down for his brother. Where was
Yeah.
that from? Where did I hear that? Faith, Faith. Where's Faith?
Yeah,
Faith,
it's a
find me
good
that
verse.
scripture.
So guess what time it is, my friend?
It, it's time for bacon and eggs, brother. Bacon and
Yes,
eggs.
it's time to hit the old dusty trail. So I'll say thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, Shannon. It goes by so fast when you guys come on. Like now with the rotation the way I have it, like everybody is getting so good, and so like the chemistry is there, and
Yep.
I couldn't be happier. I
Well, it's a
couldn't be.
great way to start the day and wake up. I was a little groggy this morning, so I
Well, it's a
appreciate.
tremendous break for me. I mean, to have somebody that can kind of carry the load of like entertaining, like it's hard to have something to say for this long all the time.
Yeah, or if you run out of things to say, you're like, so
Right.
anyway.
And you're good at
Oh,
like,
Hannah said steak and eggs. Hannah, you're my
yeah.
girl, Hannah. That's
Hey,
right.
I'll tell
Oh, you
you,
come on
hey,
over
those Australians are tough, man. They will eat a steak every meal. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Like, yeah.
Without a fork and a knife. Dang
Yeah,
it.
I remember there was I think it was that guy Crocodile Dundee. I can't remember what his name, but he had like this steak, right? And you go and he put, oh, it was the Foster's beer commercial. It was a steak, right? And then they put a piece of parsley on there, and he goes, "This is Australian salad." Like,
Yes,
like one piece of parsley. I'm like, wow, it's only one piece.
that's
But
great. I love
anyway,
it.
yeah, I know it's crazy. But anyway, I better round out.
Thank
Praise.
you.
I did that specifically for you. Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace. All glory to God. He deserves it. And oh yeah, that verse was John 15:13. That
Oh,
you
Faith, I love you.
and pray and please, 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 please pray for the children and for anybody being
Amen.
victimized out there, because look, when the Lord returns, all that ends, and so pray for
Amen.
anybody that's in any kind of pain, and so I say that, and I'll see you guys tonight at 5 p.m.
Love you all.